judgment here, just a friendly ear. Tune in every day, bring your worries near. Life count show, let the heartbeats flow. With Feyi Dee, we heal and grow. Life on the couch with Feyi Dee. Talk it all out, set your mind free. Life on the couch, stories we share. Feyi Dee's there.
Hello everyone, my name is Feyi Dee and welcome to Life Couch with Feyi Dee. Yay! On this show, we will be talking about life issues. We'll be talking about those things that happen to the everyday people. These things that people do not want to talk about. And on today's episode, we'll be talking about divorce and separation. And with me on set is Julietta. Hi, Julietta.
Hello.
How are you doing? How's your day today?
Wonderful. It's been a long day, but we're here.
Whoa, whoa. I'm loving your hair.
Thank you.
Oh, my. Anyways, I'll allow you to introduce yourself to the audience.
My name is Julietta Raoul, and I am divorced. I'm a single mom now and an entrepreneur of multiple businesses.
Wow.
And published author.
Wow.
Yes.
That's such a bio. All right. And Julietta will be talking about her life story, her experience. You know, she's been through divorce, separation, I believe, and then divorce. Maybe you tell us sometime later you talk about the story and how maybe, just the process. Do you have to, go through separation first before you eventually get divorced, and things like that. So before we dive into your story, I just have a few questions. And what is divorce? For some people that don't even know. Or what is separation? And what's the difference between divorce and separation?
I've never been asked that question. And it would not be surprising to say I don't know.
Okay.
But I can only speak from my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Separation is when a married couple decide they don't want to be together anymore.
Okay.
Divorce is when it is solidified by the court legally that you're no longer married.
All right. And do you have to go through the separation, or can you skip separation and go directly to divorce?
So legally, you have to be separated for about a year.
Okay.
I think it's a year. And then before you can be given approval of a divorce. But it's not just, I'd say it's not written in stone.
Oh, okay.
But at least you need to be separated for a year because some divorces take longer. Mm-hmm. So every situation is different.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And are there definitions for divorce, like you don't stay in the same house, or can you be in the same house and be separated? Are there no definitions?
You're asking me? No. Some people can.
All right.
Everything in life is per situation. Mm-hmm. Everything in life is per individual because I cannot speak for others.
Okay.
And even, some decisions I made back then, now I'm thinking, oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Who I am right now would not have made those decisions then. Mm. So there were many interpretations based on somebody's situation, frame of mind, experiences, temperament. Many things can really give different answers to a question like that. Okay.
So one thing I would like to ask is, why did you say yes?
Because I did not know. And actually, I was not asked for a divorce. I was dealing with a lot personally. And I didn't realize how traumatized I still was from my past until afterwards.
Okay.
And it was not until after everything was just about to be finalized, I realized I was never asked for a divorce. I just got up one day and I was self-sabotaging for quite a while. Mm-hmm. I went quiet for a couple of years.
Wow.
And told myself that's not where I wanted to be. And I pulled away from the people who cared about me. And I think if I had spoken to them, I would have had better counsel, but I didn't. Okay. And that alone is trauma in itself.
Oh, wow. So, in the beginning, what made you say yes to this man? What made you go ahead to get married to him?
We were together for a long time.
Okay.
And our lives, it flipped the script. Typically it's meet somebody, get married, then do everything else. We did it the other way.
Oh, okay.
We had kids, we had businesses together, career, everything. But we traveled together, but the only thing we hadn't done was get married.
Okay.
And he decided he wanted to marry me. He's
Okay.
like, and so I agreed because
It just seemed like the next thing to do, or it was about time to do that?
both. I'd say both.
Okay.
Yeah.
And may I ask what changed? And did this change over time, or did you just wake up one day and realize, okay, I know you said you went quiet for 2 years. So was that the process, of change, or,
It was my process of decline.
Okay.
I was starting to grow in a lot of aspects in life, but you cannot grow successfully within yourself until you've come to be true to yourself. And I was not true to myself, not even in the slightest. I had no idea who I was, what I wanted. I had an inclination of some of the things I wanted, but I didn't understand myself as a mother. I knew I had my kids and I loved them. I knew there was this man in my life I was married to, and I absolutely adored him. But I didn't understand me. And how can you pour from an empty cup? How can you give to everybody that matters if there's nothing within you that you don't recognize? So I think I felt empty, not because they weren't giving me, but because I had to come to terms with myself.
This is something I would say I kind of relate with. I do tell people every time, I'm like, you need to know yourself. You need to blossom. You need to know who you are. A lot of times, and this happens, for people at different ages. At 21, you could be mature enough to know yourself. At 25, you could be. But it's important that you know yourself. And that way you'll be able to identify someone that complements you, right? And then eventually get married. I know it's not that easy. Sometimes, life happens and, here and there. So let's just go on to listen to your story. What happened? At what age did you get married, if you don't mind sharing that? And how long were you married for? And then how did things change?
We had been dating for quite many years, and things were good, making plans together, and definitely couldn't see anybody getting in between there, and the decision was always ours to make. You get it to a point where, you think you're figuring things out, and you do, on the surface, you do. But life's tragedy can throw you a curve.
Tell me about it.
And you can never tell another adult how to handle tragedy.
Yeah.
Or you never know how you yourself going to respond to your partner going through tragedy also. And that is another heavy one.
Yeah.
Because when do I step up? Should I have stepped up then? Should I have backed down? Was that a time to be quiet? And these are the balances in yourself that when you know who you are, then you're not able to respond accordingly, and either you're second guessing yourself or you're thinking, maybe this is the time for me to just shut up and not see anything. You're not realizing that partnership means we're in this together, right? And a lot of us, we were not taught how to be spouses. Many of us would, go to school, get a man, get married, have kids. But there were some fundamentals that were missing in all of that. There was no coaching as to character within ourselves. So that way we, our individual selves, are solidified in that marriage to say, I am in that marriage But I am an individual person. I know who I am, what I'm bringing into this. And so I did not understand me. And then when tragedy hit, you're not able to, stand solid in who you are between what you're dealing with and what you're facing, who you're dealing with as an individual within yourself, plus what you're facing. So there's a conflict. I'm not solid in me, so how can I face something else?
Okay.
So catastrophe comes, and I'm catastrophic myself, right?
Okay.
So it's chaos now.
Okay.
And then things started to spiral at that point. I started questioning myself, maybe this is time for me to not say anything.
May I just ask, would you want to share what the tragedy was, or?
There was a loss of a really close family member. That's
Okay.
I can say.
Okay.
And it was really hard. And I felt the depth of that too, because it was somebody really dear. But I did not know how much I was appreciated. I did not know how much I meant, because I did not have the confidence within myself to stand up and say, hey, I'll be right there with you. And a lot of times in marriage, we know that we want to be there, but we don't know how to be there. You understand? And it is such a blessing when, those who have coaches to say, hey, this is a safe place to run to. And there's nothing worse than not having a safe place to run to. So what do? You go into yourself.
Yeah.
Where there are no right answers, because you're not even confident there. So how do you find the right answer?
Yeah.
The other thing too is, even being a Christian and having faith, your faith is shaken. Because if I don't believe in myself, am I also doubting God and His creation of me and who I am?
Yeah.
That brings another question there. So everything around you is shaken. Everything is, nothing is solid. So where do I run?
Okay. So what happened? Did you stop having feelings, or did you stop reaching out, or you were not approachable? Or was it that your spouse could not reach out to you, and then there was, a break in communication, or, what exactly was it?
I turned to work. It was the one thing I've always known since I was small, is work. I was a workaholic. And work became my place of runaway. I started working until 3 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Because it just seemed like a place to be, and it just seemed easier. I did not realize I was doing it. It was like a default.
And you weren't available for him?
No, honestly, I wasn't. And I know partnership, it has to go both ways.
Yeah.
But when it starts there and you were always dependent on, how do you just disappear and say, hey, you should still count on me?
And so at some point you disconnected.
It took a long time before we disconnected, because we were so bonded. It took a long time. But then I was still in my head. That is one of the worst places. One of the worst places we can be. And it was, you tell people the story you tell yourself. You're not even sure what the truth is, because the counsel is not even dependable.
Yeah, sometimes.
You don't even ask God, you tell God. Everything is just out of balance. You're in a place where you're just not okay.
Okay. So at what point did you both decide, okay, we can't do this anymore, and we have to go our separate ways?
We didn't decide. I decided.
Oh, you did? Okay.
It was... wow.
You can take your time.
One day I said to myself, I don't want to live this way anymore. not realizing I was running from myself and everything else. And I communicated that this was it. And within a week, I filed for separation and divorce.
Wow. So was this because, so it wasn't anything that he did? It was, you just feeling like you getting into yourself, getting into that space where you just wanted to be with yourself.
I didn't want to be with myself either. I think I was just spiraling into a runaway, because if there's no confidence, what am I running to? I wasn't running to anything or to anyone, anything like that.
Okay. I
was just not in a place of good counsel. I was just telling myself that things were not all right, and I was really caught up in my feelings. And it's such a feminine thing to do sometimes, to just get caught up in our feelings. And I learned later on, feelings can mislead you.
Yeah.
They're often wrong, and
Yep.
And I made a long-term decision on a part-time feeling. And I couldn't take it back.
Wow. That's a good point. Like sometimes when you find yourself feeling a certain type of way, maybe you give it time. But you said you were here for 2 years, and that's a long time. So one of the things I want to tell you is this is a no-judge zone. Sometimes you don't know what people go through until you may not understand until you're actually in their shoes. And who can actually be in your shoes?
Nobody can be in your shoes.
Not even the next divorced person.
No.
Right? So every situation is unique to you that way. Okay, so thinking about your story, I feel like it's tougher than someone who finds themselves being physically abused. It's obvious. And you're like, oh, yeah, I'm leaving because of this. For someone else who's been emotionally abused, or something that's tangible and you can hold on to, I feel like those are easier. I'm not trying to say divorce is easier for anyone, but, what you went through, as far as how I understand it, is very emotional. It's very intangible, so it might be difficult for people to understand. But I would say that if you had the opportunity or probably good counsel, I believe now you're more mature, you know yourself, you have blossomed. That's one word I always love to use. Would you do anything differently?
Yes, I would. Yes, I would.
How would you have managed that time where you went into yourself?
I would have spoken to him. That's one of the things I would have done.
Okay.
Because we talked about everything.
Okay.
And it's one of the things that you cannot tell both sides of what happened, because it's not just your story, and there's so many aspects of it. Mm-hmm. But one thing I always had access to was to open up and say, hey, I'm feeling this way. And because that was my number one supporter.
Mm-hmm. And he'd probably understand.
He would have. Or at least, say something like, okay, you need a moment, and then you can say what you got to say. Mm-hmm. There was always an avenue to speak. And when you have that is something that you don't realize what that is until
you lose it.
You lose it, right? Nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
It's not all me, it's not all him. It takes a part. Mm-hmm. But the part of that story that we're talking about is the part where I realized there was such a depth of self-sabotage. And it's one of those things that psychologically, when you're there, you don't realize it. You're in a good place. Oh, my goodness, I'm doing me. Doing me what? Doing me detriment? Doing me, a disservice to my life? So, yes, I would. That's one thing I would have changed.
Okay.
I would have spoken up. Another thing I would have changed, I would have spoken to the girl, my friends, that inner circle I had. I would have, because then I would have had some good counsel. People who love you truly,
Will tell you the truth.
they tell you the truth. They tell you the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. So I will just ask questions generally. Would you, and I know you're a Christian, as a Christian, would you tell anyone to get a divorce? Or would it be dependent on what they're going through?
As a Christian or otherwise, before being a Christian, I wouldn't tell anybody what to do. Because nobody can tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Number one, there are some people walking around with their wrong partners for whatever reason they decided to get married. And then later on decided, I'm so sorry, the reason we started this isn't. So let's go our separate ways. And they find their true spouse afterwards.
Yep.
Some people decide, I want to be alone. You cannot tell anybody what to do.
Okay. Maybe I'll rephrase that question then. If someone is in a marriage and they find that they're not happy, would you say to take your time, try everything you can, or up and leave? Maybe that place isn't just for you.
You know, it's amazing how the word happy is just used as an excuse to walk away from a job, a child,
A
marriage. Happy is situational. You know?
That's deep. Happy is situational. Okay.
You could be having
Everything.
a terrible day and be happy.
And be happy still.
You could be having a good day and not be happy. Happy is situational. Happy is contentment. Happy is, how you choose to feel. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a decision maker. There are lots of pros and cons to consider. Why am I here? What am I doing here? What's the benefit? Why, is my life in danger? Am I psychologically, inept in this relationship? Am I okay to speak up in here? Or am I bound to silence and I'm not allowed to say, and, everything is being decided for me? There are so many reasons.
Yeah.
You don't get up and say, I'm walking away because I'm unhappy. But you have to weigh your pros and your cons. You have to know that you know yourself before you can make a decision. Walking away from a marriage because you're unhappy is not a reason to walk away. You need more reason than that.
A reason. Can you say because you're no longer in love? People say love is a choice. And a lot of times, so nowadays we use the word love loosely. So is love a reason to walk away from marriage? Oh, I don't have feelings for this person. And I know that sometimes I've heard couples say there's seasons where you don't feel like you're in love. And then, it's a season and sometimes it just blows off. But if you feel like, okay, 1 year, 2 years, I still don't feel like I have feelings for this person, what would you advise that they do?
I'm not going to give advice, but I'm going to say something.
Okay.
I like to be direct.
Sure. That's why we're here.
Love, God is love. Love is genuine. Love is honest. We know what love is. Love can be misconstrued and misunderstood. So you cannot tell somebody how they feel. So if they decide, I don't love that person anymore, but some people stay because they still respect them. Some people stay because they appreciate them. Some people stay because they're still financially stable there. Not being in love is still not reason enough for some people to walk away. Some people stay just because of the kids and they hate each other.
Wow. You
understand? It is everybody's decision to make. There are no judgments.
Whatever works for you.
Whatever works for you. Because the thing is...
Sorry to cut you, but be sure to weigh your pros and cons. I just wanted to, put that out there. Like, it's important you don't just up and leave.
You don't up and leave from anywhere. Here's one of the things I always say. You're working in a place, right? You're unhappy. You're going to just get up and leave? But you're going to make a plan for you to... there are some people who just get up and leave because there are those, there are some of us who would just be like, you know what, I'm out of here. This ain't working for me. See ya. I'll figure it out tomorrow. God is good.
Yeah.
There are those people. There are those situations. But there are also, you cannot just say to people, oh, you're unhappy, walk away. Because what if somebody's listening right now and saying, oh, I'm unhappy, let me walk away. That's not a decision maker. The decision has to be you considering the entirety of your situation and your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You understand? The same way you would, if you're a go-getter at work and you have to plan it out, resume, where am I going to leave? When am I going to leave? Why am I leaving? And I have to have a reference letter as to my other application, because when you leave one relationship, there is a reference that follows you as to going into the other relationship. Was the fault the company's? Was the fault mine? Ma'am, may I ask why you left the last job? Sir, why did you leave the last job? So what makes you think walking out of one marriage, all of a sudden you're ready for another one? So there's so many things that we need to consider, and we have to take that into thought.
Okay. I'm going to ask, and this will be a difficult one. Do you think sexual pleasure is enough reason to leave a marriage? For example, you feel like, I don't enjoy sex anymore with my husband. I know it's a difficult question, and we just want to tap into your wisdom. Is it enough reason? And we all know that. So there's something I saw on Instagram one day. It says sex is like a currency. If you don't spend it at home, right, you will spend it outside of the home. So it's really important, something we don't talk about, right? A lot of people don't talk about these things, but you find that couples, end up not having this sexual attraction, for each other. Do you think it's a valid reason to leave a marriage?
First of all, when did it deteriorate? Was it always there? Was it ever there? If it was always there, when did it get lost? No, it's not a difficult question, by the way, asking me.
Okay.
Because the thing is, an attraction between two people doesn't just die out. It has to be maintained. A lot of couples just think, we're in love and the sexual attraction will just maintain. No, it doesn't. It takes work. How do you stay attracted to the same person?
I know.
For past 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. It's a decision you make.
Yeah.
So yes, there are days where the body will be like, not today, not this week, because I'm just human and I'm tired. It's human. But you also have to be that person that makes that conscious decision as to all the other reasons why you're there. A sexual attraction alone can be just temporary. If, for example, the person has a medical issue, do you get up and bail? Meaning that you did not leave that person wholly in the first place.
Yeah.
Right? There are so many.
So nothing, no one reason can allow you or can gives you the, how do I say this? You can't just pick one thing. It has to be a number of things, and you must have weighed your pros and cons and be sure that as a person, this is what you want to do. You want to leave this marriage.
Here's what I'm going to say to that. If you're going to be married, be married. Don't get into marriage just because of money. Don't get into marriage just because of sexual attraction. Don't get into marriage just because he's cute or because she's beautiful. There's got to be a long list of reasons. So when one wears out, the other stay and sustain.
True.
It's partnership. I choose you to be with me to travel this journey. Life is crazy.
I know.
Nobody wants to go through this alone.
Tell me about it.
And so when you say, I'm going to partner up with you, you have to, that's why we have to be so careful when we partner up. If I knew if I knew then what I knew now, I would not have been divorced. I would not have walked away from the love of my life. I would not have lost sight of the fact that was the love or is the love of my life.
Yeah.
You don't get that twice in life. You don't. And so if you're going to go into partnership, you go into partnership with hope of longevity, not in hope of, of divorce.
Yeah. I guess nobody actually gets married with, divorce in mind. Nobody really wants that. In light of what you just said, and I think I did mention this earlier, sometimes, so if you ask me now, I would say, and I tell people a lot, I tell them you should be, I'd advise any woman to be in their 30s before they get married, because sometimes that's when you know who you are. I tell you, when I was 21, I didn't know who I was. When I was 25, I don't think I knew who I was, right? So sometimes you need to mature. And maturity, like I said, it comes at different, it depends on your upbringing, you know, what life you've been through, life experiences you've been through and things, you know, the kind of people around you who's speaking to you. I didn't have an elder sister. I don't have an elder sister. I don't really, you know, so it depends. So maybe my maturity came in a little bit late. I don't know. But I say that when you're in your 30s, forget about biological clock now. I have friends who got married at 40 and, you know, they still have kids, right? But I'm trying to say at least you know who you are, and then you're able to identify the person that complements you in life. Because this journey, you don't want to start and stop or get halfway and see that, you know, something's not working. What do you think about that?
I think definitely maturity in self-identity, and being able to appreciate yourself. It starts there. It starts with you. It starts with your confidence, your self-confidence, knowing who you are as an individual and knowing what you want for yourself. Because how can you have expectations of somebody else and not even have expectations of yourself? Because then it doesn't work. Then you're dependent on that person to help you measure up. And when they themselves now fall short, you figure it's their fault. How can it be their fault? You understand? Because a lot of people forget this. Marriage are two individuals coming together for the same journey. You have to come wholesome, as wholesome as possible. If you come with chaos, you will only see chaos because you can only see life through
your lens.
That's it. So if your lens are blurred and somebody else's lens are blurred, because somebody whose lens are clear, they don't really see blurred. They don't pick up the blurred ones. So they tend to say, oh, you're still available. How come? Yeah, because he hasn't seen what he wants yet. Or she hasn't seen what she wants yet. So until you get to that point of clarity for yourself, and knowing that you have low tolerance for stupidity, low tolerance for what you definitely don't want, and you're not ready to just play the game and be out there, then you stand still confident in who you are, and in time, that will pull you to that person who sees that in you too.
I hope you guys are taking the gems she's dropping. So we're nearing the end of the episode, and I just wanted to ask, how has it been being a single mother? How many kids do you have?
I have 3 kids.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So do you have total custody or do you have shared custody?
We have shared.
Okay. Do you like it that way? Does that give you some time to, just some time off to yourself and,
I like it that way because they still have 2 parents.
Okay.
I've always been that woman who believes I'm not going to fight to take your kids from you. Sometimes, you kind of, get a little distracted with the lines and cause a little bit of, pettiness. But then you grow up and you realize this is their father.
Yeah.
This is their father. No matter who comes into your life later on, this is where it started. Unless they're in harm and, it's somebody who's neglectful of them and stuff like that, then that's a whole different situation.
Yeah.
But if I have no problems and I can see there's there's a good relationship and there's growth and there is, everything that's supposed to be there.
Well, why not?
If it's there and it's getting better and it keeps growing, what's my excuse to keep them away?
Yeah. And how easy has it been, just being a single mom?
It's not. I honestly have a very blessed situation, and I've had help from family.
Okay.
And I have help from their dad. So I cannot complain.
Okay.
It's been a very tough learning journey. And I'm glad to be on this side of this journey.
Good. Thank you so much. Just to round this up, I know there might be people out there who are considering divorce. And right now they're saying, Julietta, I don't know what to do. I know for each person it's different, but do you have something you'd like to just tell them?
That's a heavy one.
Coming from your wealth of experience.
Coming from my wealth of experience, get some help for yourself first. Get some help for yourself first. Start there. Figure out who you are, what you want, why you want it. And then, through lens of clarity, have faith that what you're seeing right now is not how it's always going to be. Because you might be wrong. If you're not being abused, if your children are not in harm's way, think twice and just get some help so you can have some clarity. Later on, if you decide on it,
Then that's fine.
that's your decision. Nobody can tell you what to do, how to feel. But don't just get up and just make a decision without thinking. Make sure you are clear that you're going to make decision, because there are many people who's made decision and have definitely regretted it. I want to say something. As a Christian, getting divorced is frowned upon. It's not encouraged. But at the same time, I remember having some support when I said it was something that I did, even though they didn't understand me, who I was and what I wanted. And people can also give you advice on one side of the situation just because they love you. And, you know, it doesn't speak for the other party, which is unfair. It's almost as if you should stay married no matter what. And it does not come from Christ. It comes from the church.
Yeah.
Because the Bible tells us, you know, if a man keeps away from his wife, that she can divorce him. And that comes with the commitment. The commitment is every part of it. Christ said a man should love his wife as he loves the church. And a woman should be obedient to him. But there is also that love that has to be there. The commitment is on both sides. The responsibility doesn't lay on just one person. And many times, our marriage is not a marriage made before God. Sometimes our marriage is a marriage that was spun out of pressure from parents, out of tragedy from childhood, and out of loneliness.
Yeah.
So I don't think it is fair that the church should pressure individuals in making their decision, because the church does not stand by you in the fallout.
Yeah.
That was my experience.
Okay. So you felt like there was a label on you. Did you feel the stigma, or did people behave a certain type of way, or did they make comments and things like that?
Oh, there's no way you were invited to be on the pulpit if you were getting divorced. You know? So definitely there was a stigma. There are lots of things we don't talk about.
Yeah.
Yes, there was a stigma. You know? You're not looked at the same anymore. The invites change. You could be married and never show up to church with your husband, but the fact that you have a wedding ring on your finger and you're married is appropriate. All of a sudden you're welcome.
Yeah.
But then after that, you know, you feel the judgment. But I've learned that when you go before Christ, He knows what you're going through.
Yep.
And when your heart is free before Him and your conscience is clear and you've grown in Him, there is therefore now
No condemnation.
no condemnation. So let the church condemn, because as long as Christ doesn't condemn me, I am free.
And is this how you pull through?
It is how I pull through.
Okay. So another question is, how do you think the whole divorce situation affected your husband?
It hit him hard. It hit him harder than he ever thought, and than I ever
Thought it would.
realized. I didn't think. I honestly wasn't thinking about that. I saw somebody who was just strong, who can handle himself. I saw that I just needed to pull away. And I selfishly made the decision. I honestly wholeheartedly know now I selfishly made that decision for both of us. But
Wow.
we both suffered the consequences, and our kids.
So is that safe to say you have regrets?
Of course I have regrets. But I would not trade my journey for anything. Because what I've been through, what I have learned, who I have discovered I am, let me put it to you this way. If I were the woman I am right now, if I were to be the woman I am right now, the wife to him back then, as I am now, and no divorce in my conversation, that's a fact.
Yeah. One thing, though, is I like who you are right now.
Thank you.
I like the fact that you know who you are and the confidence that you have in yourself. And you can never discount the journey, that brought you here.
And that's one of the hardest things is a lot of people are afraid to make the journey because it's hard. Let me tell you something. I don't wish this on anybody.
I know.
I don't wish it on anybody. I don't wish it on my worst enemy. This is deep. This is pain. I always say, I rather sometimes a human being whoop me than God whoop me.
Wow.
Because when he teaches us, he takes us to places and depths. Because the thing is, we don't understand a God that is so awesome. He created us to be so magnificent.
Yeah.
And so when he knows that he has, he has a ministry in us or a service in us, like Jonah, he will put you where he needs you to be so that way he can speak through you. So this is him speaking here. And not because we're better than anybody else, but because we're all so relatable in different ways.
True. True. Thank you so much. Lots of wisdom from you, Julietta. And it's been just beautiful listening to you and learning from you tonight. I just believe, I hope that people out there listen to you and even if it doesn't give a final answer, it helps them, to just direct them towards, a path or maybe taking a decision. Thank you so much. And it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for having me. It has been a joy.
Hopefully sometime soon you'll be back and we can talk about something else as well.
Absolutely. Would love to.
Then. It's been a pleasure listening to you and just exchanging ideas with you. Thank you, everyone, for watching today. And personally, I have learned that the decision is yours to make. Make sure that you take your time to think. If you need a retreat, take some time away. Talk to people. Find the right counsel, right? Sometimes those things seem like they're not important, but they are invaluable. You have the right people around you to guide you, right? Also, divorce is not a disease. If that's your path, as long as that's what's right for you, please keep your head up. And you're still a human being and you're valuable. Okay? Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. So guys, thank you for joining us today. If you have a story you want to share, feel free to share it in the comment section. If you have an opinion, please share it with us. We'd like to hear you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with your friends. Until next time on Life Count with Feyi Dee, we will see you then.